Real-world reading. Talking with his hands. Go, greased lightning. Go, 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 go. Those lyrics are fun when you hear them with a rollicking beat in the musical Grease. But they would be bewildering if you couldn't hear the music. And even if you weren't confused, you would probably be just plain bored. Being able to capture the spirit of that song and project it to the audience without sound was a challenge for Claude Schertz. He uses sign language to interpret plays for deaf audiences. I try to tell the story that the music is telling, he says. Rather than repeating the sign for go over and over, he imitated the motions of driving. I showed the character sitting in a car with his hair going straight back in the wind. Schertz, 37, works with Hands On, a group that interprets theater shows for deaf people. Grease was tough enough to interpret, but that was a moderate challenge compared with interpreting the plays of Shakespeare. Schertz says Shakespeare's plays are really tricky because they are written in old-fashioned language. At first, I had not a clue what the characters were saying, he admits. I had to do so much preparation. At hands-on performances, Schertz positions himself so that he doesn't hamper deaf audience members' view of the onstage action. If he does his job well, the crowd does not cheer and applaud. Instead, they reward Schertz with the unique applause given by deaf audiences, the sight of outstretched arms and waving palms moving in silent circles.
A tradition of giving. Daniel Casey started helping needy people in his Arkansas community when he was just 3 years old. That was when he first volunteered at the food bank his family runs. Casey's charity provided more than 1,000 families with food each Thanksgiving. As an Eagle Scout, Daniel decided he wanted to do more. He started a new project that included collecting blankets and pots and pans for the holiday giveaway. His goal one year was to gather more than 1,000 blankets. I like helping people, he said. It's as simple as that. Caption: Daniel Casey. Able to work. In 1990, a landmark law was passed in the United States. The Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, gave an estimated 30 million Americans with disabilities a fighting chance in the workforce, according to former California Congressman Tony Coelho. Coelho himself was once denied the chance to have the career he wanted because he is epileptic. The ADA was designed to prohibit discrimination in the workplace against those with disabilities. In large ways and small, the law has brought about changes for the disabled as well as for their employers. It requires businesses to make offices and other workplaces accessible to people with disabilities, and it's working. According to Coelho, there is still job discrimination out there, but the tide is turning. Tony Coelho. Ted Henter is blind. He runs a firm that makes software for others who are blind.
Real-world reading. Saving Grace. How could a woman who spent her life doing laundry for others give $150,000 for university scholarships? For most of her life, Osceola McCarty of Hattiesburg, Mississippi, did laundry for other people. It seems reasonable to assume that the modest income of a washerwoman would prohibit her from becoming a philanthropist. What people in Hattiesburg could not have guessed was that McCarty would wind up donating a small fortune to the local university. Large donations usually come from wealthy alumni. However, the University of Southern Mississippi announced that Osceola McCarty, then 87 years old, was giving the university $150,000 to finance scholarships for African American students. I want them to have an education, said McCarty, who never married and had no children of her own. I had to work hard all my life. They can have the chance that I didn't have. Caption: Osceola McCarty, third from the right, and her family in 1922. Hard work. When McCarty was in the 6th grade, her aunt became unable to walk. McCarty left school to care for her. She also helped her mother and grandmother with their backyard laundry business. Even when I was little, says McCarty, I was always getting into the wash. By the time her aunt got back on her feet a year later, McCarty thought she was too far behind to return to school. I was too big, she says, so I kept on working. McCarty's business was similar to running a laundromat. However, unlike the owner of a laundromat, she did not use washing machines and dryers. McCarty did all of the washing by hand. She had tried a washer and dryer, but found them inadequate. Instead, she boiled the clothes in a big black pot and hung them on the line to dry. Her place of business was the backyard of the wood frame house she grew up in. She had a bench in the backyard with 3 tubs on it, says Helen Tyre, 89, who hired McCarty back in 1943. She and her mother and grandmother carried the water from a hydrant. Tyre remembers a time when McCarty charged just 50 cents a bundle, a week's worth of laundry for a family of 4. Eventually, her fee climbed to $10 a bundle, still a very moderate price.
So others can learn. McCarty thought for years about the scholarship project, but it was only after arthritis forced her to stop taking in wash at the age of 87 that she reached out to the university. Many people in McCarty's shoes would have kept the money. Frankly, I didn't believe it at first, said Bill Pace, executive director of the University of Southern Mississippi Foundation. The foundation manages gifts to the university. I was amazed that someone who made their money that way could save that much and then would give it away. The scholarship fund was established in 1995. The scholarships were not supposed to go into effect until after McCarty's death, but Pace and other university officials didn't want to hamper McCarty's chance to see at least one of her beneficiaries graduate. So less than a year after the gift was made, they awarded the first Osceola McCarty Scholarship of $1,000 to Stephanie Bullock, 18. Stephanie's mother taught school in Hattiesburg, and her father supervised a water treatment plant. Stephanie has a twin brother, Stephen, and the Bullocks were worried about paying college tuition for 2 kids at the same time. The help from the McCarty Scholarship Fund would make college accessible to both twins. McCarty and Stephanie Bullock, the first student to receive the Osceola McCarty Scholarship. President Bill Clinton awarded the Presidential Medal of Honor to McCarty in 1996. Caption: McCarty in 1995 at age 87. The gift of a lifetime. Word of McCarty's gift and her life story caused others to open their pocketbooks. Local business people pledged to match McCarty's $150,000 contribution, and, in addition, checks arrived at the university from all over. McCarty, meanwhile, found all the fuss a bit bewildering. She continued to project an air of genuine puzzlement by the question she heard over and over. Why didn't you spend the money on yourself? I am spending it on myself, she answered with a smile. Osceola McCarty died in 1999 at the age of 91.
Beatrice takes a study break at her school in Massachusetts. A gift of hope. Beatrice Bira grew up in Kasinga, a small African village in Uganda. Beatrice had always dreamed of going to school, But her family could not afford to buy the uniforms, shoes, and books required for school. Most villagers could not because they had nothing to sell for money. In 1993, a charity called Heifer International gave Beatrice's family a goat named Mugisa. That name means luck, and that is when the Beera's luck began to change. The goat provided milk for the family to drink and offspring to sell. The money from selling the goat kids was enough to enable Beatrice and her 6 siblings to go to school. For 60 years, Heifer International has been helping families become self-sufficient. The organization provides them with livestock such as geese and goats. Each family must pass on the first female offspring to another family in need. Since it began in 1944, Heifer International has helped 5 million families in more than 125 countries. Says Beatrice, I want to get a good education so that I can give back to others the gift that was given to me.